In this episode, we're gonna prep the heater box. We're gonna completely disassemble it, clean everything up, and get it ready to install back in the car. We're gonna do the same with the blower. We're also going to just simplify the heater box so that it only blows at defrost. We don't need any other air direction, and we're also going to eliminate a bunch of the components on the blower motor box so that we can, at a later date, once the dash is installed, just wire it up to a direct switch. In our last episode, you saw us get the dash completely disassembled, and we eliminated a bunch of the ductwork in behind the dash that we don't need for defrost. We haven't decided if we're going to completely delete or eliminate the heater core, or if we're going to install the boxes as is and then update it to a newer Miata style heater core out of a NB Miata that has pipes that are removable, whereas the NA pipes are just solid pipes, so you have to pull the dash out and the heater box out to replace the heater core. We're also going to address some rust on the pedal assemblies, so we'll do a bit of a science project.
Science rules.
And give you guys a comparison between whether distilled vinegar or Coke works better as a rust removal agent. So we're gonna get the heater box cleaned out, and we only want heat and defrost. So we're gonna lock the control mechanisms in this heater box to only operate in the heat setting and blowing on defrost. There are a couple doors on the inside that actuate when you switch the controls. It actually physically moves some doors. There's another door on this side through here that operates for whether you want hot air or cold air, whether the air is going to blow through the heater core or not. So those doors actually sit on shafts that run through the box. The foam that goes around each opening is actually one straight piece across. So I'm just going to take a razor blade and cut that foam in half. That has got to be rodent
baked into the
and
door,
like molding and stuff. Like that's just
moldy
gross.
rat
Yeah.
poop. Family friendly channel.
I think is applicable in this case, though. It's just so gross.
Oh my god, dude. So
Wait, is that a
fucking
real picture?
That's-
Is that true?
That's delightful.
What is that actually happened?
Of course it happened. I think this is a reflection of how just
Oh my god.
dark we've become.
Oh my
A
god.
lot of weird forces at odds with each
Well, why
other.
am I
One half of each door will just be a pivot, and the other half will be a control. 2 doors remained on this half, and then 4 doors on this half. These doors are a plastic frame with foam attached to them, and the foam just helps seal the door shut so that when you switch your control to defrost, you don't also get it blowing out the vent. But what happens over time is that the foam gets just dry and brittle, and it will actually just easily scrape off of the door. Pop that plastic retainer back, yeah, and pull the control arm right off, and then push the door shaft through to pull the door out. Yeah, we'll just lay the doors kind of back in place. And this one should be this next door. This one should be this last door. We'll put the control levers in place. So all the components on the table over here, I'm not gonna reuse. So with the two halves now somewhat assembled, I'm gonna push them back together. Whoop. And if you get lucky, it'll just fall together. Just like that. We're gonna lock the doors in place like I had talked about. So we're gonna lock this on hot. And the way that I'm gonna do that is I'm just gonna drill a pilot hole into the plastic housing here. Just gonna use a self-tapping screw that I had sitting around my workshop here. This one is going to be direction from heat up to defrost. And so we want to lock this one down. This is our defrost section. This is the vents in the dash section, and then there's two open holes down here that we'll tape up that are just the floor vents that come out through here. So we want to block the direction from both of these doors from blowing on the vents. So we'll block this one down and that one up. And there we go. That's all the doors locked in the locations that we want. So what I think I'm gonna do is just take some aluminum foil tape and we'll cover up the floor vents. So that will seal up that floor vent. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Just as a safety measure, I'm gonna cut this foam off and I'll put some of our aluminum tape and just cover up this whole vent here. Last thing we want to do is prep the blower box that houses the blower fan. It has one more of these doors. We're going to lock ours onto fresh air, but we're also going to take this box apart to try to clean it. It just has a lot of dust in there. And then a handful of Phillips screws. I'll just eliminate this bracketry. We're getting the heater blower box back together now. And what we did on the inside was just simplified this box a bit. So I deleted the fresh air to recirculate door completely. And all I did was I taped up with the same aluminum foil the vent that would go to recirculate. So now this will only pull fresh air in from the cowl. And then the blower fan also had this kind of direction plate that was in there that just got really rusty over time from moisture and fresh air coming in. What we also decided was we're just going to wire up the blower fan direct to switch on the dash so that we either just have defrost on or off. It has what's called a blower motor resistor. This is what gives you the difference between your level speeds of fan. We'll wire this in with a fuse and a relay, and we'll just go direct to power on the fan. Now we're just gonna delete this section of wiring as well. We'll wire that in later. I'm gonna put a small piece of tape over where the blower motor resistor sat. Okay, that's it. The bare metal parts under the dash have quite a bit of surface rust and rusty spots on them. So we got 4 jugs of distilled vinegar, and this is the 5% acidic by volume distilled vinegar here. These were pretty cheap. We got them from Walmart. They were like $2 a jug. What we're gonna focus on is just getting the rust section submerged in vinegar, and we'll let that sit for a few days. This one is the clutch pedal assembly bracket. We want to do the same thing to the brake pedal assembly bracket. This is just going to be kind of a test for us, and to show you guys, this is just going to smell like French fries. So there's a couple electrical components on the bracket that I don't want to submerge. So I'm going to take the two sensors off of the pedal assembly. Most of the other bits of plastic that are on here for the pedal pivot point and the rubber stoppers here will be okay submerged. We'll just get the electrical components taken off. Two 10mm nuts on this switch, and then I believe this is a 17mm jam nut on the other switch there. So this sensor is actually adjustable. It is just a clutch release switch, and this one is going to be the clutch safety switch. So the car won't start unless this rear switch is pretty much fully depressed. All I did to take it off is crack that jam nut loose and then spin the switch off, so that when I put it back on, I know I'll just put it down to the jam nut, tighten it, and that's where the switch was when I took it off. So we've let this soak in a 5% acidity vinegar solution to try to pull some of the rust off. And you can see it's taken it off actually really well, but it also piled up some kind of oxidization or something in this one little part that wasn't submerged. So you can see there's a hard line across here of what was submerged in the vinegar removing rust, and this part up here that wasn't. So the vinegar was clear when we started, and so now it's got that rusty tinge to it. There's a couple other parts down in the bottom that we let soak as well. I'll just give it a scrape over here. And that was the portion up there that wasn't submerged. So this is just some fresh tap water. So I'd say that turned out really good compared to what we had before with the rust on those parts. See how the rest of these did. These were some metal tabs that were helping to hold down the wiring harness on the driver's side rocker panel, and they came out really good. This little bit of rust that's left on there, I bet if I just touch it with a wire brush, it'll just fall off. Look at that. These parts all soaked for about a week in the vinegar. So the parts that I couldn't reach with the wire brush, you can see there's a pretty hard line there. Even if I just use my bare finger there, the bits of rust that are left on there are just really flaking off. We submerged the throttle and brake pedal assembly into Coca Cola. We've had it in here for just about a week. But if I take a rag, I bet you the rust is just flaked on there and will pretty much just rub off. Let's use a wire brush.
Would you say that the vinegar maybe worked a little better?
I would. It's been pretty much the same time frame. we did our one spot of flock patch repair, and the flock itself turned out really well. I can tell there's a difference between the original and the patch only when I'm really close up to it. If I'm looking at it from a distance away, it looks rather continuously flocked. If you flock a product and you run into issues where there's spots that it's not sticking, you can safely use the like Scotch-Brite pad that we did and perform a flock repair. You guys saw us get the heater box completely disassembled. We cleaned out all that rodent debris and the foam that was on those doors that was just really gross and degraded over time. We took apart the blower box and got that prepped. It's sitting there ready to go with the heater box to be installed back in the car that we'll get done in the next episode. Now we've got our pedal assemblies back down to some bare metal. We might paint them or we may just install them the way they were from the factory. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, make sure you guys subscribe. Shoot us some comments. Let us know what else you think we should be doing to the car while we're in each stage, and keep watching. Thanks, guys.